Alright, so today we're diving into the top 3 toughest biochemistry concepts for the MCAT. Biochemistry is a major part of the test, but certain topics tend to give students more trouble than others. By the end of this video, you'll know the most challenging biochemistry concepts and how to tackle them with confidence. Let's get into it. Concept 1. Enzyme kinetics, Michaelis-Menten and allosteric regulation. First up is enzyme kinetics, specifically Michaelis-Menten dynamics and allosteric regulation. These concepts are essential for understanding how enzymes work, but they can be tricky due to the calculations and complex regulatory mechanisms involved. Here's why it's tough. You need to understand the Michaelis-Menten equation and how it describes the relationship between enzyme activity, substrate concentration, and enzyme affinity. Key parameters like Vmax, maximum velocity, and KML, Michaelis constant, are crucial for interpreting how enzymes function under different conditions. Allosteric regulation adds another layer where enzymes can be activated or inhibited by molecules binding to sites other than the active site, often following sigmoidal kinetics rather than the hyperbolic curve of Michaelis-Menten. To master this, focus on practicing enzyme kinetics problems, including calculating Km and Vmax, and understanding how different inhibitors, competitive, non-competitive, uncompetitive, affect enzyme function. Visual aids like graphs will also help you grasp the dynamics. Concept 2. Glycolysis, gluconeogenesis, and metabolism pathways. Next up is metabolism, specifically the pathways of glycolysis, gluconeogenesis, and other energy-producing processes. These metabolic pathways are heavily tested on the MCAT, and keeping them straight can be a challenge. Here's why it's tough. You need to memorize not just the steps of glycolysis, but also the key enzymes, intermediates, and regulatory points. It's not just knowing what happens, but why and how it's regulated. Understanding the relationship between glycolysis and gluconeogenesis, how they are opposite pathways but regulated in a coordinated way, is important for questions on metabolic balance. The integration of other pathways, like the citric acid cycle and oxidative phosphorylation, adds another layer of complexity. To tackle this, practice mapping out these pathways in a way that shows the flow of energy and carbon, focusing on key regulatory enzymes and their inhibitors, activators. Flashcards can help reinforce the specific steps and key enzymes. Concept 3. Protein structure and folding. Primary to quaternary structures. Finally, we have protein structure and folding, which involves understanding how proteins are built from amino acids and how they fold into their functional shapes. Here's why it's tough. You need to differentiate between the 4 levels of protein structure: primary, amino acid sequence; secondary, alpha helices and beta sheets; tertiary, 3D folding; and quaternary, multi-subunit complexes. Understanding how proteins fold and the forces that stabilize them, like hydrogen bonds, hydrophobic interactions, and disulfide bonds, can be challenging. The MCAT loves to test how changes in the environment, like pH or temperature, affect protein folding, leading to denaturation or misfolding, which can affect function. To master this, focus on understanding the different levels of structure and the types of bonds involved at each level. Practice problems that involve protein denaturation or the effects of mutations on protein structure will help solidify your understanding. Wrapping it up, let's recap the top 3 toughest biochemistry concepts for the MCAT. Enzyme kinetics requires a strong grasp of the Michaelis-Menten equation, regulatory mechanisms, and inhibitor effects. Glycolysis, gluconeogenesis, and metabolism challenge you to understand the complex pathways and their regulation in energy production. Protein structure and folding involves mastering the different structural levels and how environmental changes affect protein function. These concepts are challenging, but with consistent practice and a clear understanding of the fundamentals, you'll be ready to tackle them on the MCAT. And if you need more practice, check out the King of the Curve app or visit kingofthecurve.org for hundreds of biochemistry questions designed to help you succeed. Keep up the hard work, and let's get closer to that top score together.